Good evening. We've seen it happen in Fort Wayne almost a dozen times already this year. Shots fired, tragedy follows, a community is damaged.
What's going on here? Tonight we begin a reporting emphasis on this city stain of murder, in many cases unsolved murder. Not every night, but several times in the next month, we'll get at the answer to this question. Is Fort Wayne really a dangerous place? Tonight in a 15 Finds Out special report, News Channel 15's Adam Widener looks into this disturbing trend. So Adam, what did you uncover?
Well, it's hard to ignore the violent year our city has experienced. 11 people shot and killed in the first 4 months. But are we the only ones? Are we alone in this distinction? I compared the city of Fort Wayne homicide numbers with the 9 other American cities closest to our population. I'll report right now we've had more homicides so far this year than all of them. So I sat down with Fort Wayne Police Chief Rusty York one-on-one to find out if Fort Wayne really is a dangerous place. It's been a deadly but all too common sound across Fort Wayne this year. 11 homicides in 2013. 15 Finds Out looked at 9 different cities by population. 4 just larger than us and 5 just smaller. They're spread out all over the country. Cities just like Fort Wayne, at least in terms of population. As of the middle of April, cities like Lincoln, Nebraska and Plano, Texas hadn't had any homicides. Buffalo, New York had 7. Norfolk, Virginia had 10. Fort Wayne stands out with the most overall and per capita. It's a number Fort Wayne Police Chief Rusty York agrees is unusual and unattractive.
We have had more homicides up to this point this year than is typical.
York noted it's important to look at longer trends. For example, over the past 5 years, Buffalo has averaged 47 homicides a year, while Fort Wayne is at 21 a year. Fort Wayne police have been on a hiring freeze the past 2 years. The department has been operating with below average staffing numbers. Right now it has 435 sworn officers. It's fully staffed at 460. That's nearly half the police force of similar-sized East Coast cities like Norfolk and Jersey City.
I don't think numbers always translate to lower crime.
So I haven't had the academy for 2 years. Has that played a part in this recent violence that we've been having?
No, I can guarantee it hasn't. It hasn't reduced the number of officers we have on the street every day.
Chief York hopes to hold a police academy next year. Still, the city council has to make cuts to the 2014 budget. So if city council decides not to allow any new police hires, one city councilman says that could lead to a more dangerous city.
If we end up doing nothing, the chances of a police academy or a fire academy is pretty much zero.
Right now, the city is trying to resolve an $11 million budget deficit. It's unclear how that will be done. City Councilman at Large and Fort Wayne Police Deputy Chief Marty Bender says the police department could be in a vulnerable position.
There was talk of moving the police force down probably about 60 to 70 officers, which would put us way under where our allotment is. I think it'd make it a very difficult city to probably live in.
Most of the homicides have happened in the southeast part of town. But in the end, Chief York thinks it'll take an effort from the entire city to make sure Fort Wayne isn't a dangerous place to live.
If you're on a boat on the ocean and you hit an iceberg, it doesn't make any difference where your cabin is. You know, on the left side, the right side, the front, or the back. We have to work to resolve this issue, or we're all going down.
Now, City Council hopes to figure out the budget deficit by this summer. We've added more statistics for you from each city with a similar population. To see those, just click on this story on WANE.com. In Studio 15, Adam Widener, News Channel 15.
Good evening. Already this year, criminals have shot and killed 11 people in Fort Wayne. On top of that, police have shot and killed 3 people.
Tonight, we continue our 15 Finds Out reporting emphasis on our city's violent streak, getting at the answer to the question, is Fort Wayne really a dangerous place? News Channel 15's Adam Widener joins us with a look at the role school resource officers may play in this disturbing trend.
Well, I sat down with Fort Wayne Police Chief Rusty York, looking to dig deeper into what his department is doing to fight the abnormally high homicide numbers. I asked what his department would get if it had more money. His answer surprised me. School resource officers, something as simple as an officer strictly focused inside a school. He and others think in the end, They will help prevent our violent crime. They're the future generation, but much of the time it's been young people left dead or suspect in recent shootings. Chief York says part of the solution?
Our school resource officers are involved with youth every single day.
So 15 Finds Out looked at all 4 public school corporations in Allen County. Fort Wayne Police have 6 officers in Fort Wayne Community Schools, 1 in each high school and 1 roaming between elementary and middle schools. That's more than the 3 other districts combined. The others each have 1 Allen County deputy. East Allen also uses a New Haven officer. For the most part, each district had great things to say about the officers.
Our SRO officer really has cut down on our 911 emergency calls because they're available in our district.
She builds a lot of really positive relationships, which pay off when there is a concern going on in the school. She's somebody that the students trust and will come and talk with.
We're working together on finding solutions for issues that may be in our community, and those community issues may come into our schools.
We tried more than once to speak with FWCS on this topic. Leaders here are the only ones who didn't want to talk about the program. But Chief York did. He says that his department is actually reworking strategy to help mediate violence and gang problems in this school system.
We're actually evaluating how we have those officers deployed with the Fort Wayne Community School System, and we're considering and probably will focus those officers more to middle schools next year instead of the high schools. By the time young people get into high school, they're less influenced, we feel, by what the school resource officers can provide.
The violence may be happening mostly on the south and southeast sides of town. Still, the ripple effect is being felt by students across the county.
We do have students that are victims of some of the recent homicides, and they are family members of some of those families.
Students in today's culture communicate through social media, through just meeting each other around in the community, so they know what's going on.
Leaving schools teaming up with police to make sure Fort Wayne isn't a dangerous place.
We're shaping all of our youth to be able to handle all of life's challenges in a way that contributes to the betterment of our community instead of acting out and bottling it up and exploding at some point in the future.
Now, you may know the city is working to solve an $11 million budget deficit. City Councilman and Fort Wayne Deputy Chief Marty Bender told me if the police department's numbers are cut, school resource officers would be one of the first things to go. Tune in tomorrow as News Channel 15's Lamar Holliday continues our series of special reports. He will be hitting the streets with a local pastor with a unique approach to fighting crime. Live in Studio 15, Adam Widener, News Channel 15.
We have seen a high number of homicides already this year in Fort Wayne, most of them concentrated in one geographical area, the city's south side.
And it has us asking, is Fort Wayne really a dangerous place? One pastor is basically ignoring the danger in order to be proactive. He's walking the neighborhoods, hoping to make a difference. And last week, he took News Channel 15's Lamar Holliday along. Lamar?
Yeah, Mark and Heather, he's Pastor Carlton Lynch from the New Beginnings Church, and he wants to make a difference. He and I walked streets many would not dare go down, streets where lives have been lost. But for Pastor Lynch and his ministry team, this is their outreach.
It's enough bloodshed. We tired of the killing. We just want peace in Fort Wayne.
I believe that I work best in the streets with the people.
Family's been just got shortened over the last couple years.
I got the call, I got the text, somebody got shot, they killed, they still laying on the grass.
Lives lost, the streets unsafe, the Southside community stained. This is the very picture that's painted by gun violence in Fort Wayne, a picture people are tired of seeing. They want something to be done. Pastor Carlton Lynch of New Beginnings Church answers the call.
I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that was uncut, a little bit different than the norm.
Pastor Lynch has been the senior pastor of New Beginnings Church since October of last year. When it comes to shootings here in Fort Wayne, he's the one to whom many in the community turn.
Every time someone would get shot or get murdered, they would always text me and let me know what's going on. And so I would always rush to the scene, not really realizing why I was going. Yeah, I'll go pray. But they were there just ministering to the people, hugging on them.
The group he's referring to, Team New B. It's his ministry where a few individuals go out to the neighborhoods considered most dangerous and try to show young people there's more to life than gun violence. So we decided to see his group in action. A group of parents comes to Pastor Lynch to talk about their daughters being in a gang.
So if all the parents was at the table together, do you believe that this could end?
No.
You don't?
I don't.
Y'all need to get on y'all Facebook and say, we ain't no gang no more. Yes. We done.
So what do you think these girls need to do to end all of this?
Somebody got to give, and I think that's really where most of it's going on the streets now. Nobody's willing to surrender.
And neither is Pastor Lynch. His team goes out and visits apartment complexes that are known for high crime, such as the Twin Oaks Apartments. One of his team members says she's out here for her own children.
I'm from Chicago. I moved my 3 boys away from the inner city violence. I didn't want to move them to inner city violence. Can't sit at home and pray about it all the time. Sometimes you got to get out there.
And so it begins.
I'm not even going to ask you, what's your past been like? Because your past don't matter with God.
Okay.
It's your present and your future.
Are you in fear of your life when you're out on the streets?
Yeah, I have to be honest, at a certain time of night, I fear. And then sometimes I fear just going to my own home. Everyone don't like the peacekeeper. I want you to text this number, okay?
But that doesn't stop him. Another day, his ministry team heads to Eden Green Apartments.
Do y'all think murderers really live out here?
Yeah, they all think they live everywhere.
Most people were receptive to Pastor Lynch talking with them about combating crime in their home. But there were other times where situations got hostile. Pastor Lynch is here to offer a peaceful solution.
Whatever type of violent street activity they're doing, I believe all of them want to help. While I hold his hand, God, I pray that you give me the strength, God, to mentor and to father him into greatness.
Pastor Lynch says as long as he makes a difference in one person's life, that's the accomplishment. Now, next week, I'll introduce you to Bryce Moore. He lived a life of crime, but after meeting Pastor Lynch, he's now walking down a different path. In Studio 15 tonight, Lamar Holiday, News Channel 15.
Well, recently, we've been asking the question, is Fort Wayne really a dangerous place? We've broken down the numbers and even talked with community leaders who are being proactive in hopes of changing that stigma.
And tonight, we are talking with a man who once lived a life of crime but is now heading down a different path. News Channel 15's Lamar Holiday sat down with him and is here to share his story with us now. Lamar?
Mark and Heather, Bryce Moore is getting his life on track. A couple of moments in his life had him thinking about where he was going. Now he's on track to being a barber instructor, but he's teaching lessons beyond the scope of a book.
I hung around with bad friends. I had bad influences all my life. I, really wasn't good in school. I just was going down the wrong path.
A path to destruction. Moore says hanging around the wrong crowd led him here. Jail.
I really didn't steal cars or anything like that, but, I had fair share of friends that did, and, we did the joyriding thing and the breaking and entering, the theft, robbery, drugs-related guns, all that.
It was a life of crime that came naturally for him, but it's the same lifestyle that has affected his family.
I lost a cousin to this street violence, I lost a couple of them. I come from a family, a big family, and it's been shortened.
What point in your life made you want to get out of the game?
I got into a bad car accident, and I seen my life flash before my eyes. And then after that moment, I had a son, and that's when I decided to really, really get it together.
And slowly, he started to make changes. It began with his circle of friends.
I cut him off as, no, maybe not this time. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll get another chance to hang out or something like that.
Then he started going to church. He met Pastor Carlton Lynch of New Beginnings Church of Fort Wayne.
At that moment, I was on probation for a previous incident, and the way he talked to me and the way he spoke at me about at the pulpit, he he really touched some things.
Since then, Pastor Lynch has been mentoring him, talking with him almost daily and giving him guidance along the way. And now,
I'm raising a beautiful son. You know, he's very intelligent, very respectable. I'm teaching class. I'm a barber instructor at Ravenscroft.
in this series, we've been asking, is Fort Wayne really a dangerous place? Moore says those who are making it that way can change. He's living proof. But his advice to those living the life of crime?
Close your mouth and open up your eyes and see that there's bigger and better.
And part of Moore's journey includes him graduating from Ravenscroft next week. He hopes to return to the barber school as a permanent instructor. In Studio 15 tonight, Lamar Holliday, News Channel 15.
All month, we have been airing special reports asking the question, is Fort Wayne really a dangerous place?
Overnight reporter Rod Hisson continues our series this morning. He is live in Studio 15 with a front seat view of what Fort Wayne police officers deal with. Good morning, Rod.
Hi, good morning, Pat and Tara. The job can be dangerous, thrust into the unknown, sometimes with little information to go on, but police officers must react in seconds to a variety of calls each day. Earlier this month, I rode along with a Fort Wayne police officer overnight on the city's southeast side. I had my camera, a microphone, and a department-issued bulletproof vest.
Keep yourself, keep your fellow officers, keep the community safe. And if you did that after 8.5 hours, you did a good job.
Meet Fort Wayne police officer Jason Anthony, a 10-year veteran of the department, 9 years working southeast Fort Wayne, 8 years working third shift. He sees a lot every night.
You can't get them out of the keys out of the pool table?
No, they fell down in the pool hole. We were shaking it and everything. We can't get it out.
No crime here. After breaking up a party with loud music and an unsafe bonfire.
We have really two options. You can turn the music down, we won't come back, and we'll leave you alone. Or we'll write you a $250 ticket.
Officer Anthony helps some kids get into their car. It's one of the dozens of calls for service Anthony will respond to in his shift. In this instance, an earlier disturbance from a Calhoun Street nightclub led to a search for at least one woman who might have been involved. An investigation by officers at the nightclub eventually led a separate group of officers here. Officers wanted to speak with a man in this house where they found the woman outside.
It appears that was a disturbance that spilled over from a local nightclub. When they returned home, there was some type of domestic dispute, and she left the house, called the police, and he proceeded to lock her out of the house, and now he won't open the door. She's going to go somewhere else for the night, and we don't have any reason to force entry or anything into the house due to the fact we don't have any criminal charges.
The most serious call of the night during our time with Anthony was a 911 call for a reported stabbing.
Disturbance with a party armed with a knife.
Neighbors involved in a dispute turned violent. A man was stabbed and hit with a bat or a club. Police found the female suspect walking down the alley with a wooden club. Anthony then looked through the alleys and backyards for another man. And this may be one of the lighter sides of police work.
Where's your prom at?
The Grain Wayne, the Grain Wayne Center.
Okay. So you're trying to get to Columbia City?
Yeah.
Despite running a red light, Anthony gave the driver a warning and some directions. With the recent surge in violent crime, something Anthony admits is part of the cycle, he also says the focus on the job remains the same for he and his fellow officers on the street.
I think it's business as usual for us. I mean, we're out here every night. It hasn't changed how we do things. It hasn't changed how we respond to things.
Well, one thing incredibly obvious, whether a traffic stop, an unwanted party, a disturbance, or loud music at a party, backup for every officer was usually just seconds away. Even though we spent just a half a shift with Officer Anthony overnight, the Fort Wayne Police Department responded to nearly 500 calls for service in a 24-hour period that day. Anthony admittedly said our night was a little slow. Still, we didn't have any downtime, and what downtime there is usually spent patrolling the streets, being visible to and for the residents of Fort Wayne. Live at Studio 15 this morning, Rod Hisson, News Channel 15.